Could the winner of Thailand's election lose his party and his freedom? After a stunning victory at the polls just 1 year ago, the Move Forward Party and its leader now face the wrath of the military establishment. With efforts to prosecute Pita for treason and disband his party underway at the Thai Constitutional Court, will we see a popular movement towards strengthening Thai democracy derailed? I'm Andrea Sankey, and today's newsmaker is Thailand. Well, a surprise victory by Thailand's progressive Move Forward Party last year dealt a major shock to the country's conservative establishment. And when its leader, Pita Limjaroenrat, tried to form a coalition with him as the likely prime minister, the full power of the establishment came crashing down. First, Pita was suspended from parliament for allegedly violating the country's election laws. Then in January, the Constitutional Court ruled that his party's position on reforming the lèse-majesté laws was illegal. It's specifically Article 112 of the country's criminal code, which says anyone who defames, insults, or threatens the monarchy will be punished with 3 to 15 years in prison. Then in March, the Election Commission asked the court to dissolve Move Forward, saying the party's activities aimed to overthrow the democratic regime under the monarchy. Now, Pita and other party executives are facing a decade-long ban from politics.
That means an attack on democracy. It's not just me personally, it's not just the party, but it's really about the discussion about democratic space here in Thailand, of having elected officials, the largest opposition party in the country, that will be abolished, and that means a lot to check and balance. And the strength of the democracy is not about how robust the government is, but how fair and how active the opposition is.
Well, ahead of the court's first hearing on Wednesday, its president said a verdict would only be reached by September. So we'll only know then if the Move Forward Party will share the fate of its predecessor. After a strong showing in the 2019 elections, the Future Forward Party was shut down over claims of violating election finance laws. That and years of frustration with the establishment sparked unprecedented mass protests demanding democratic reforms. But during the subsequent crackdown, the government jailed many rights activists and used pandemic restrictions to prevent further protests. Well, the establishment and pro-royalists have long used the lèse-majesté laws to silence those seeking change in Thailand. In fact, under those laws, any Thai citizen can lodge a case against another person, and the police are obligated to investigate. The Thai Lawyers for Human Rights group says the number of people prosecuted for defaming the king has been growing, with at least 262 cases since 2020 alone. A founding member of the group, Arno Nampa, has also been sentenced for violating royal defamation law. In September last year, the court handed down a 4-year sentence over a remark he made during a 2020 rally. And in January, Nampa was given a further 4 years in prison for a 2021 social media post. United Nations rights experts say recent sentencing is part of a concerning trend of deliberately silencing dissenting voices.
We reiterate our long-standing call on the authorities to repeal the lèse-majesté law, bring the criminal code into line with international human rights standards, drop charges against those who are currently facing criminal prosecution, and release those who have been sentenced for the sole exercise of their rights to freedom of expression.
So can there be any further democratic reform in Thailand, or is the establishment just too firmly in control? Well, joining me now to debate that and more are from Tokyo, former Thai Deputy Prime Minister Phongthep Thepkanjana, also from Japan's capital, former Thai Foreign Minister Kasit Piromya, and from Boston, human rights and labor activist Phil Robertson. Thanks all so much for being with me. Phongthep Thepkanjana, I'll start with you, because you've actually been here before. You fought to stop your Thai Rak Thai party under Thaksin Shinawatra from being disbanded by the court. However, your efforts actually failed in your case. So tell us first, who really prosecuted you, and why did your party lose in court?
At the time, our two parties were dissolved before. The Thai Rak Thai Party was the first party to be dissolved, and later the People Power Party was also dissolved. At the time when we were charged, as far as I can remember, I'm not sure whether it is the Election Commission or not. But for the People Power Party, the Election Commission was the one who filed the motion. Same as the Future Forward Party and the Move Forward Party. The Election Commission filed the motion with the Constitutional Court to disband the party. During the time when we fight our case for the Thai Rak Thai Party, there was a coup, and the junta set up a constitutional tribunal to try the case against us. So we fight our case. Of course, we lost. And we
Do you think it was, at the time, did you feel it was almost farcical that you had to go to court to fight when many thought it was a foregone conclusion that you would lose anywhere? Or did you actually have hope that the court could be independent and rule in your favor?
That court actually was not independent because it was set up by the military junta. It was a tribunal. And our case, our misconduct was claimed at the time of the 1997 Constitution. But that 1997 Constitution was abolished by the coup. So at first, because there was no such constitution, right? Our case should have been dropped. But they still continue to charge us.
Okay. So,
which is quite strange.
Yeah, it became quite aggressive. But let me move to Phil Robertson quickly, because you know the history very well. And just hearing what Phongthep said about what his experience was in somewhat similar circumstances, do you think Pita and the Move Forward Party could fare any better?
It's going to be very difficult. This constitutional court, particularly the division that's going to hear this case, is very political. I fully expect that there has been conversations behind the scenes about all this amongst the various different conservative factions and groups. And I think, there's a lot of this for show. The claim that the Thai courts are always independent is simply not true. And the bottom line is that the courts often are used to weaponize attacks against various different opposition groups or parties, whether it be Thai Rak Thai or, in this case, the Move Forward Party, that have become an irritant or inconvenient for the ruling conservatives, that has become a threat to their power. And, this conservative legal establishment, backed by constitutions like the 2017 Constitution, which was written by the military for the military and is being used by conservative groups to hold on to power through until recently, the use of the unelected Senate that was appointed entirely by the military. These are the people that are also involved in selecting which judges go on these courts. And the bottom line is there's not much of a chance for Move Forward Party in our view.
Right. Kasit Piromya, I need to ask you this, because last time we spoke, just after last year's election, you actually believed that Thais themselves would rise up if, Pita and the Move Forward Party were not given their rightful place in government, having won the election. Now, they weren't given that place, and now they're being prosecuted to the full extent of the law, basically. But Thais are not rising up. So what's happening now?
I think the first point is that the Move Forward Party on the 14th of May of last year won 14 million votes. But so far, the leadership of the Move Forward has not tried to play politics outside the parliament or within the legal framework. Okay, so it's up to the leadership of the Move Forward whether they will go out onto the street or not. But so far they have been, I think, playing by the rules of the game, appearing before the Election Commission and now the Constitutional Court.
Do you,
And then there's still hope, on the part of Move Forward, that they can fight the court cases and see what would happen.
you say they're playing by the rules. I mean, do they have a choice? And will the so-called rules actually serve them in the end? Is there a chance for justice here?
Well, the Move Forward party joined the elections under semi-democratic constitution. So the fact that they joined in the elections and the political processes under the present undemocratic constitution,
Yeah.
so they have more or less accepted the rule of the game. But I do agree with Phil about the weaponization of the law for political end. But I think the point is that we still have not have a set of clear rules that what constitutes the what you call the elements or the reason or the rationale for a court to dissolve a political party. And if one to go to the German basic law or the German constitution, only two, I think, grievances against the constitution and democracy that the parties would have to be dissolved. I think, namely, trying to do everything to undermine democratic life and principle, and second, fascism, and so on. So it's very clear in the German case, but we do not have that in the Thai case, and that gives whoever is in power using the law to go at the political enemy. We have to change everything.
Let me ask Phongthep, hearing that
Yes.
so much really does have to change in order to make the system fair for political opposition, what do the people of Thailand do in the meantime? As I said before, the lot of the consensus among opposition supporters before was that the people would have to rise up. If Pita wasn't given his rightful position as winner of the election, if it was somehow derailed, the Thai people were going to take to the streets again. They didn't do that. So what position do the people actually have now? How much power is in their hands to force through the changes that they voted for?
I think right now quite a number of people are waiting for the new constitution, which the core party of this government, Pheu Thai Party, has promised the voters. And also, of course, Move Forward Party is another party which pushed forward for drafting a new constitution. And I believe that this government will have to amend this present constitution to pave the way for a new drafting assembly for the new constitution. In that case, we will not have semi-democratic democracy. We will have a full democracy. And I think many things, including the problems of using the laws and the court to tackle the opposition will end.
Okay, and so a new constitution, Phil Robertson, is a new constitution actually in the cards? Because, Thai people, they voted for change, and they want what the Move Forward Party actually promised, which was ending monopolies, ending military conscription, and, of course, reforming, not undoing, but reforming lèse-majesté laws so they couldn't be used as a political tool. So will they ever get what they wanted?
The issue of constitutional reform is going to be very difficult. The 27 Constitution has been set up to create multiple hurdles to revising the Constitution. This is deliberate by the military drafters of that Constitution. They wanted to make it hard for anybody to undo their work. And, while the Pheu Thai government and others in the coalition say that they favor constitutional reform, this is going to be a long, drawn-out process. In the immediate term, Whether people go out on the streets or not, and whether they stand up for their votes that they made for a Move Forward Party and for reform, I think depends a great deal on the Move Forward Party leadership. The big reason that a lot of people didn't go on the streets is that the key leaders of the Move Forward Party didn't go on the streets. You had protesters and others, various aligned groups, student groups, labor groups that were going out and protesting, but it never got to more than a couple thousand people, riding around on motorcycles in Bangkok. If the dynamic is going to change, and if in fact the voice of the people for reform is going to be heard, I think that it's going to have to come with the MFP leaders being prepared to go out on the street. And I don't know whether they're prepared to do that or not. That is the central question of whether the people's voice is going to be heard. The call for reform is going to continue, because even if the MFP party is dissolved, it's widely expected they will reconstitute themselves as another party. And many people believe that if there's another election, that the Move Forward Party or whoever, whatever they're called at that time, will win again.
Yeah.
So this is a game of whack-a-mole that the conservatives are playing, trying to wipe out the progressive elements in society, in part by continuing to knock down leaders, and hope that if they knock down enough leaders, there won't be anything that comes back.
Yeah. Kasit, it was said just earlier that, PITA and the Move Forward Party are trying to play by the rules right now, however legitimate those rules may or may not be. But the question with the Thai people now is that I'm hearing from some that they're actually just tired. There have been so many efforts made. There's been elections, and they voted overwhelmingly in favor of change, and yet the system, the establishment, as we call it, just will not let those changes take their course. Do you think the Thai people are kind of throwing their hands up at this point, or are they just holding their cards for now and waiting to play when it matters?
Well, I think we have been, or I myself also, we have been on the street for the past 20 years. Maybe at the moment we are a bit tired and looking at the situation, but we will recuperate. And I'm sure a lot of progressive thinking, not only confined to the Move Forward or to the student movement, have in their mind that, okay, maybe it's about time now that we have to speak out. But I think, as what Phil and I seems to agree, is that it's up to the leadership first of the Move Forward Party. But I think the people will also become impatient if the Move Forward doesn't take the lead to bring about the changes, including the writing of the new constitution. Then the people will come around. Maybe they have recuperated enough and the energy will come back, because Thai people still love justice, fairness, fair play. Maybe they have been tired the past 20 years, but it doesn't, discount further upheaval in the Thai society. And we see here all around, we saw this in Sri Lanka, later is in Kenya, and all of this and so on. So it cannot be taken for granted that there is a lull in the sort of people's politics on the street, that it will not ever come. I did put a cocktail. Again, look at the economic performance of the government is very bad. Thailand position in the international community, very, very bad, and so on. So there is a sort of an accumulation of discontentment, and it could burst out at any time. There is nothing to guarantee that because we are so tired, therefore we will remain to be tired. I, for one, will not be tired.
Okay.
So I keep on saying and then pushing for the changes.
Yeah. I mean, Phongthep, in the meantime, though, as it was mentioned, the economy is suffering. So tell us more about how all of this is actually affecting Thailand's economy, and especially foreign investment. How are our foreigners and multinationals seeing Thailand now because of the actions of the establishment in derailing the election results, really?
Of course, right now, our economy does not perform well compared with other countries in ASEAN. And that may be because of several causes. Of course, the foreign direct investment in Thailand does not come as much as we expect. especially compared with the countries in ASEAN like Vietnam and Indonesia. They have more foreign investment than Thailand. So because this government just came into office less than a year, so the government is trying hard to revive the economy.
Okay.
Especially the Prime Minister is trying to draw foreign direct investment.
And do you think they'll stick to their kind of traditional models, or might they begin looking to the fringes? I mean, some say their relationship with Myanmar's dictatorship and welcoming them kind of back into ASEAN might just be indicative of where they might start looking for new economic relationships now. Do you think that's too far a stretch?
I think for Myanmar and Thailand, I mean, Thailand is a neighboring country with Myanmar. And right now, there is quite a chaos in Myanmar. So nothing much that Thailand can do. And for the foreign direct investment, I don't think our relationship with Myanmar is the cause of the fall of the foreign direct investment in Thailand.
Okay. Phil, I'd like to get your thoughts on that as well. But, you know, I've heard a comparison that's interesting because you study the entire region. And some people say that what's happening in Thailand really smacks so much of even Pakistan, that Thailand is kind of the Pakistan of Southeast Asia when it comes to the role of the military in government. Some call it the deep state, establishment, whatever. Do you see those same similarities?
Unfortunately,
let me let Phil go ahead.
Yeah.
That's a very apt comparison, unfortunately. I mean, you do have a state within a state that has repeatedly intervened in taking over democratic power. You know, I've lived in Thailand for 30 years and I've seen 3 military coups. You know, and each time there's a military coup, everybody says there's not going to be another one. And of course there is. And anytime there's any sort of instability in the government, everybody starts talking about what the military is going to do. So there is a deep state element that is the military and the conservatives that runs through Thai politics. And I think, frankly, thwarts efforts to move Thailand towards a more fuller democracy. That is unfortunate. It is also a very rights abusing setup where, you know, the military and security forces continue to enjoy impunity to abuse human rights abuses, just like they do in Pakistan. You know, obviously you hope that Thailand's economy is going to do better than Pakistan's. But the larger question is really, what does accountability and justice look like in Thailand? And right now, dissolving parties like MFP is going in the wrong direction because the MFP has been consistently one of the most pro-human rights, pro-democracy, pro-reform elements in Thai politics. That is the thing that scared the conservatives and has driven them to, you know, tie up a deal with their former archenemy, former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra. You know, many people never believed that kind of rapprochement would be possible, but it was done because the conservatives feared the reform that the MFP was going to bring more than they feared Thaksin.
Yeah. You know what, Kasit, final question for you, because Pita and Move Forward say still that, well, Pita especially, that his time will come. That even if he loses this fight in the courts, he'll be back because it's up to the people. Do you believe that's true?
Yes. I am part of a democratic movement in Thailand. Yes. Second, we can have a new constitution. Third, we have in our system the amnesty to be given by His Majesty the King. So anything can be changed. And I think at the end of the day is about justice. And as long as there is no justice or there is a perception of injustice, we will continue to have the problem. And I think it will come to a point when I think the Thai society, the various players get together and have a source of consensus. I say this because I'm jealous of the Taiwanese, the South Korean, or even the Japanese at the end of the Second World War. And lately, the Indonesians, they all had been able to get the military out of politics, and they have become robust, democratic entities, respected by the world at large. If our friends can do it, there is no reason why we cannot do it. But it depends on the major players in the Thai society, not only the military deep state, but all the conservative elements, the royalists and so on. They all have to talk to Kun Phongsak and myself, not on the other side, but there is a need for a sort of a forum for consensus to be made.
Kasit Piromya, that will have to be the final word for this edition of the Newsmakers. I'd really like to thank all three of my panelists so much for being with us. Fascinating discussion. And our viewers, of course, for joining us as well. Remember, you can follow us on X, and do be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Andrea Sankey. We'll see you next time.